Welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic, idiosyncratic French magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and guy who rips up every photo of himself.
Hello.
His name is Alex Dandino. It's fine. Hello.
Sorry, was that not idiosyncratic enough?
No, definitely not weird enough. All right, before today's stellar jaunt across the Atlantic, a little bit of business. Everyone, it's official. Your boys here, we're on Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. The best way to support the show. The best way to help us grow the show. Also, the best way to get more out of the show. So next week starts December. Every December for our patrons, we stuff their stockings. So if you are a member of our Patreon community, you can request a movie to go in a hopper, and we draw out as many episodes as we need to fill our December schedule. So this next month, December, was completely programmed by our patrons, right? We just did that contest.
Pretty quality programming,
right? So,
by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome lineup. So we have a lot of ways that we try to give back to the patrons. We have a huge Patreon-exclusive library, commentaries, miniseries. You can even have us record specific episodes that you're interested in over there. So again, that's patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. We appreciate the support. Thank you. The YouTube is Film Alchemist. The email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials you're on. So reach out to us. We're easy to get a hold of. Make sure you're leaving those 5-star ratings and reviews. That helps us out. Defeat the algorithm that's oppressing our weird little hearts and our weird little likes. Make sure you go check out misfitparade.net to see all the cool short film stuff that we're working on. We do have a Christmas horror short coming your way this December, so make sure you go to misfitparade.net. Also, guys, tell a movie-loving friend what we're up to. Send them a message about the show, and we'll take it from there, right? All of these are things you can do to help out me and Alex as we end this
Please, help us.
All right. The pod has its desserts. I chose for a dessert a movie that I fucking adore. For me, this is a 5 out of 5-star movie.
Agreed.
This movie makes me so happy. So happy. I cannot say enough about how much I love Amélie. This was a film school find. This was one that me and my now wife would watch a lot together, right? So Amélie is just full of this whimsy, this magic, this celebration of just being alive, even when it feels like we shouldn't be celebrating. I love the way Amélie sees the world, right? And sees people weird quirks that could, more often than not, usually anything you do that's out of the main is weaponized against you. But to Amélie, they become these beautiful little details that reinforce the kind of magic of the entire idea that we're all here and we have some meaning or value to the world. Right. I love the eyes that this movie presents me to watch the human experience. It's got style. It's got one of my favorite scores of all time. I fucking love Amélie so much. Alex, opening thoughts on this delectable dessert that I have presented you.
I think I would have said all the same things. It's just, whimsy is the great way to put this. Like, this is how, the way that I came to this movie was, actually, I watched this movie in high school. There was a girl in our school, and who wrote for the newspaper with me in our high school, who she knew because I was pretty outspoken. Like, my tastes in film were very obvious, and at that time they were Kevin Smith and whatever other movies that Kevin Smith recommended. So, and she was a British girl, so she asked me one time, she said, "Have you ever seen Amélie?" And I'm like, "Nah, I haven't watched many French movies." She's like, "Oh, well, you've got to watch Amélie." And it was essentially like just a pathway for her to come over to my house with a DVD and us make out on the couch. But not a bad after effect of watching French films, by the way. But the movie itself is just wonderful. I think what came about from it too was, again, it's one of those unlocking moments in your life when you see something that tells you another part of the world in terms of like the film world. When you see a movie that like that opens a whole new chapter.
Yeah.
And seeing Amélie made me realize that there's many other countries that make movies besides the US of A. So
yeah, I remember there was like a year in film school where I had a similar thing, right? To your point, where it's like this unlocking, like, oh, other countries make movies.
Yeah.
Because you see America's movies. I'd seen a lot of Godzilla movies.
Of course.
Right? British movies. I had seen plenty of British movies, right? Yeah. But there was a year in college. I remember I saw this. I saw No Man's Land.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, there's another great one. It was about like the fall of Berlin. But there were just all of these movies in succession, right? And that was kind of the wonderful thing about film school. Because I was like you. I grew up in a really small town. I was a Kevin Smith kid, so like I know everything. Then I got to the dorms. And we had the Donnie Darko kids, the horror kids, the Tarantinos,
David Lynch kids,
the Lebowski kids. I was kind of like maybe the David Lynch. I don't know. But we had like our little genres, right? But even then, you're like, I've seen all this milquetoast bullshit you guys are talking about. And then you start taking some actual like film classes, right? And the finding these just incredible films that I had honestly never even heard of, right? Like I started college. This is going to sound crazy. We had the internet, but it wasn't the internet, right? I had dial-up in the country, so I was still on AOL Instant Messenger a lot, and that was about all we did on the internet. It would take like 4 hours to download a porno pic, so it wasn't like a great place to hang out like it is now.
Kazaa was not as fast as you thought it was.
Now you can just get fucking rained on with porno pics, so it's great. Yeah, like Amelie's bucket of fucking scrapbook stuff, just tits and V's everywhere. But I remember finding all of these other countries' films and just oh my God. Like every country might have as many awesome movies as us, and we just didn't know. So yeah,
I think this
was one of the ones though.
Before it became and I don't remember when I don't remember when the website started. Besides like, you'd go to, Ain't It Cool early on, and then like the other progressive film sites.
Turns out it wasn't.
Not as cool as you think. Great podcast.
The answer is no.
Great podcast. If you ever get a time, downloadable. The Rise and Fall of Ain't It Cool News. Not cool. Not bad.
We don't plug them. They ain't like Brock Lesnar said. They ain't pay us nothing.
But the rabbit hole website that I found. That was very helpful, especially once you were like far enough along. And I do not remember when it started. It wasn't the beginning of college, but it was probably in the middle. Was Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not just for the Cliff Notes version of
so
like
weird.
The book you're not reading, but Wikipedia became like one of those rabbit hole things that if I would like Google a filmmaker and I'd find a Wikipedia page, I would just start reading through movies that they've made and those kinds of things. And again,
we used to do that with the IMDb game.
IMDb is another one that was that too. Yeah. Like, so
we would do like director, movie, actor, and you had to do like this. It was like a Kevin Bacon game. We'd just see how long we could go. So we'd spend a lot of time on IMDb.
I think for me, progressively, like watching Amélie the first time, obviously, it was just like, it makes you feel different. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I just felt different after watching the movie. Not like some revelatory thing where I'm like, oh my God, this is the kind of film I must make as a young filmmaker.
I mean, I kind of felt exactly that way, if I'm honest.
Well, that's fine. I think for me, I watched it and felt better I felt better just I don't know. The movie just makes me feel good. Like, I think this is like the thing that I'm never going to be Jean-Pierre Jeunet, but like, I also can at least say like, oh, there's this access to happiness that's like completely uncynical. There's a level of cynicism that just lacks. And I think this is like the way that I came to it and the way that you can relate it to American cinema for me was like, because I had gotten into Wes Anderson enough, is there's this whimsy that Wes Anderson can't do because it's American. Like, there's a level of cynicism you have to do when you're doing American stories that Wes Anderson just can't.
Not anymore, yeah.
Wes
now
Anderson
he's playing with cardboard cutouts, but.
Right, but like, again, the movies of Wes Anderson are heavily influenced by French New Wave. So when you watch a Wes Anderson movie, it feels very French in a lot of ways. So, but they're still also very cynical, and these characters all kind of hate each other, but still love
here's
each other.
a way I would think about this, right?
Amélie doesn't do that.
Amélie doesn't kink shame, right? Is a weird way to say it, but like when I watch People Under the Stairs, and you're like, this is just how mom and dad get down.
Yeah.
But you're like, but it feels wrong. The movie's telling us that's wrong. The People Under the Stairs and the racism is for sure wrong. But like, if they want to zip up and chase each other around with sticks, like that should be okay. The other stuff, very bad, right? Amélie doesn't. It starts off, and I love the openings. They do this as a bookend, right? The first shot of the movie is just there's a fly flying down the street. 2 glasses of wine dance but don't tip. A sperm, an egg, a B-roll of a birth. Amélie was born, and you're like, what is that? Like, you're kind of like, it's coming at you really fast and frantic, right? By the end of the movie, when they show us the final bookend, right, it's like a man imagines the molecules of the universe, right? We check in, right? The guy who likes to rip the chicken up. He's now doing that with his grandson. The failed writer sees one of his sayings on a wall in chalk, right? The glass man is painting something different now. So what the book ending is beautiful because what the journey has trained us to see and appreciate these minor details as this grandiose, firework into the abyss that we are here, that we do matter.
Right.
And so the frantic pacing of it takes a while to train you in. So at the end, when we see all of our characters now as these people with these idiosyncratic moments, now the guy at the start of the movie, we're like, he had his own magical journey.
Yeah.
Right? And we see Amélie and Nino zipping around on their fucking scooter looking and laughing at us. They're like, keep on this journey with us. I think it's wonderful.
Right. Well, I think for me, it's one of those things where the unlocking mechanism was the like extraordinary and the ordinary. Like I do think that's something that I think even in the stranger movies that Jean-Pierre Jeuneau's made, that's where he lives. Like that's where like no one can do that. Like
at his peak, he makes my favorite movies. I think. Like I would put him when his movies are like on. There is I like them as much as anyone else's like top movies. Like he's just a beautiful filmmaker. And again, we start off and it's this Amélie's born, and we get because they train us with the parents, right? The dad is like, he just likes to clean out his toolbox. He's a hypochondriac. The mom likes to prune her fingers. She likes the pillow mark on her faces, right? And we watch how Amélie comes in and not only disrupts their idiosyncrasies, but then how they somehow mix theirs together like a Dragon Ball Z fusion and give her all of these fucking strange...
It is an interesting, like... I mean, again, issues. Like, it is just this... it is this really hard thing to watch because you realize, like... Especially as a parent now, like when you're younger, like watching this when I'm younger and single and then married and now I'm a parent, you're like, oh wow, like if I do these things that like
I'm literally doing this to a child right now.
I'm going to do this to my kid. Like I'm going to like make like I have a lot of anxiety and a lot of hypochondria in my brain. So I'm going to completely deflect that onto my child. I can't do that. Like it's one of those really fascinating things but it is this, again, these like things that in an American film would be just horrible, and you'd see it as like this kind of villainous parent thing, are almost like, again, these charming moments of whimsy in a French film. Like, again, it's just a completely different lens. It's a really fascinating thing to watch. Like, it's the thing I find most inspiring about the movie, to be honest.
It's a double-edged sword, right? And I think that's kind of the thing the movie's always playing at is, again, it's not kink-shaming you for whatever your weird thing is.
Yeah.
So we see that the dad is so worried about Amélie's heart that she becomes isolated from the world. Mm-hmm. This bears out throughout a lot of the movie into these moments of real loneliness and isolation and not partaking in the magic she sees everywhere.
Yeah.
That's really sad. But when we see her as a little kid doctor helping out an imaginary alligator, and we watch her walking through the world imagining a better place, that is a beautiful gift that her parents gave her. So there is this I think that's what the movie's telling us, right? Is that there's no changing the way these things have played out or will.
Yeah.
But it's, while it looks like it could be bad, right? The Amélie could just as easily be a serial killer as a guardian angel, right? Like, she's Dexter. I'm a little alone. I'm a little different. I see things a little differently. But
Right.
in this movie, she's like, I just want to help make people happier. And that's enough for me. Instead of, I want to wear their fucking skin dick suits and howl in the moon. Right? And so it is what it is, man. And you just got to go where you go. Because one of the first, like, really nice things she does, it's actually funny because the movie sets us up on this, right? A marble bust open the thing. And, you know, it's this perfect little Amélie moment because they mention Princess Diana like 50 times in this movie.
Yeah.
And so she'll be watching coverage of a real life tragedy or be by a newspaper stand, ignore it, and then inject us back into the kind of magical scamperings that we're a part of, right?
Right.
So she finds this little cigar box that's full of all these toys. She's like, I got to find this guy. Okay, we assume that's going to be the whole movie. That mission's done in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. That movie.
And she just sees it. She sees the guy cry and be like, my whole childhood fits in a box, but I have to go find my grandson. And she's like, oh my God, that small reconnection, right? And it's not lost on me that she's giving him back a childhood that she never had. But she goes, I want more of that. She starts seeing herself as the patron saint of the unwanted, the Madonna of the lost.
I think what's really interesting is, again, a set piece, like discovering this little box, and that
could be a whole movie.
That's a movie. Like, I think this is a really fascinating thing about Amélie in general, is that something that I think a lesser's the wrong word, but just a different filmmaker would take the entire movie to roll through. Jean-Pierre Jeunet basically just figures out how to do this and then turns it into its own inciting incident. It's really, just really fascinating, the like snowball effect this movie takes. And again, like, the only reason it works too is because Audrey Tautou is unbelievable. Like,
I was so infatuated with her after I saw this movie. And I don't think it was like, obviously she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. Yeah. But for me, I think it's like, I just wanted to be seen by Amélie. Like, as an audience member,
fall in love with her every time.
I wanted to hear, right? I wanted to hear how Amélie saw me and the little weird things about me that maybe I'm insecure about. And she's like, that's a guy I can go on adventures with, right? Mm-hmm. Like watching her put Nino through the paces. She cannot just be like, hey, Nino, I like you, let's go out. She has to make sure that he is committed to frolicking in a way that she is. Yeah. And watching that, you're like, yeah, I might fail at that step, but I want to be that kind of guy that can frolic and play make-believe with her. Or I want to hear, like, you know, what are the things, because the movie does a great job because it's all these small characters, right? They become large because, again, we're trained to see the 3 or 4 surface things. She likes to watch athletes cry, right? They like this. They like that. These are their small quirks. But we see this breadth beyond that somehow, right? So there's all these little characters that have these little weird things. And you're like, I wonder how she would see me, man. Could I fit into Amélie's world? And I think that was my real infatuation, more than like a physical... Yes, no, I mean, beautiful woman, whatever. I wanted to be in a world.
Beautiful, but
I wanted to be in a world, and especially, again, the cynical thing is an interesting element because when I felt as a young film student, I know other film students have fallen prey to this. I'm not the unique individual one who came into film school and you're like, I know better than everyone, right? Like, I fucking know better than Spielberg. I know better than this guy. Their new movie fucking sucks because it's not hardcore, and that's how I'll show I'm smart. So, as I was finding this movie, I was most in need in my life and a reminder of this kind of like the magic everywhere, right? The magic of filmmaking, especially. But what I love is that I think we get really hung up on these, you know, big operatic stories, and especially now, tentpole filmmaking is pretty much all Americans do well.
Yeah.
And even that you could argue about, right? And hopefully we're on the verge of a renaissance.
It's all we're willing to. It's all we're willing to invest.
That's all we're willing to fucking imbibe at a theater. But I love that this movie. It's just, if you boiled it down, it's just like a lady bouncing around France, again, just kind of like being charming.
It is a really wonderful just experience movie. Like I think this is the thing that's so wonderful about it is like, there's a serviceable plot, but there's many serviceable plots. They all resolve themselves, which is really fun.
I mean, at best, it's like a boy meets girl or a girl stalks boy.
I mean, I think if you boil it down to its very base parts, that's probably what it is. I mean, like, I mean, but like, there's like 14 other storylines that you can really just enjoy throughout the film, and like, this is again. Like nothing's sacred. Like there's nothing, and when we're in film school, we're taught like, there's a lot about structure. There's a lot about telling you how this thing must be.
We learn all the rules, and then we get really mad, and we're like, we'll reinvent all the rules.
Right. Yeah. Amélie breaks most of the rules we're told, but somehow doesn't. Like again, I can't really describe it in the proper way other than just, it's so wonderful.
This is the thing. In the movie Amélie, and what I think we find charming about, because obviously there's a very, Edgar Wright does this a lot now. There's a very constantly in-your-face style of filmmaking. It's constantly reminding you of the machinations of the movie. It's constantly reminding you of the unreality.
It's very specific editing.
Right.
To call its attention to itself.
In a surrealist kind of magical tale is great. Yeah. But I feel like at a certain point, we're not focused on those kind of, someone getting their brains fucked out in the bathroom and all the glass is moving and then pulling the steam so it matches the organ. Like, that becomes a fun trick.
Sure.
But in that moment, we're focused on two lonely people who found it. Like, we're always pulled back to that human. So the way they set the film up, right, it's this heightened surreal element that makes us feel like we're watching a movie, a capital M movie. But as you're into it more and more, we're just really just watching these really small human moments.
There's a level
these small
of
human interactions become these kind of worlds unto themselves.
There's a level of documentary to it that's so fascinating because it's just, again, it is just experience. That's this more new wave thing to me about Amélie, is just this experience. Like the very feeling you have. Like there's a movie Agnes Varda did called Cleo from 5 to 7, which is a great movie if you haven't seen it. I know you've seen it, but other people who listen to this pod, if you've not seen it, Cleo from 5 to 7 is a great movie. But it's sort of the same. It follows a singer through her entire day, basically from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's shot in real time, but it's the same thing where there's no real plot to it. It just is following it's following Cleo around, but the feelings, like these moments you take with her, where there's a scene where they have her practice a new song and she sings this song straight onto camera, and it's the same vibe where you're just like, I am feeling whatever is in this moment. I am constantly feeling in this movie.
Yes.
Like, that is what Amélie does better than I think most movies I've seen, which is just I am constantly feeling.
Well, let's look at it this way. And I'm not doing a classic let's just shit on Marvel, right? I love the first Avengers movie. Adore it. Think it's one of a great achievement in cinema, right? There's a level of watching a movie like that you cannot reach a level of investment unless you're a fucking child in an old body. There's a level of investment in a film like that you cannot cross a threshold with. Yeah. I cannot care that the pajama men are fighting the cartoon, beige, whatever.
Right.
There's a level that I cannot cross. There is a level that I know that the pajama men will triumph in the end and we will do this adventure again and again. And you could say that about pajama men like Batman, Superman, whatever. This is not a Marvel attack.
Yeah.
Star Wars. There's a level of emotional investment you cannot ever fully reach as an adult because you are watching something that is unreal. Harry Potter. Lord of the Rings is fucking close. Lord of the Rings is fucking close.
Lord of the Rings is probably as close as it gets.
And I still cry watching a lot of the. I'm invested as to the level I can.
Of course.
But something like watching something like Cleo from 5 to 7 and watching a singer have the bravery to go on stage, watching someone have a bad day, watching Amélie try to talk to Nino and be unable to. As she melts into a puddle, that's as unreal as Avengers.
Yeah.
But to me, I know the feeling of that moment so intrinsically.
Yeah.
So even in the surrealism of Amélie, and I always wish as a filmmaker and a writer that I was brave enough to make these kind of movies. Because again, this is not to sound snobbish, but I do just find them like a great example, like that movie Bones and All, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's on its surface this kind of cannibalistic horror movie.
Yeah.
But really, that's just like two young kids finding themselves across the country. And you're like, man, I would feel the instincts to make more of a horror movie and less of the kids on an adventure.
Yeah.
Because that's just, it feels safer when you're just kind of using those bigger shields.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had more. Because again, I think, I can't remember who said it, but it's just, I was one of these master classes I was watching. Maybe it's Scorsese. He's just like, it's just the eyes. Just put a camera on a human face. That's cinema. That's all the storytelling in the world is just watching humans experience the world and how intense and wild that can be.
I agree.
And I think there is an epicness to that a lot of times as American audiences we don't appreciate.
I think for tentpole movies, yeah. Like there's for bigger budget films.
I mean, I think just a lot of movies, man.
I think a lot of the times we sacrifice what Scorsese talks about for like plot.
Yeah.
And for like moving a story forward, which there's nothing wrong with that. Stories get moved forward all the time.
There's many kinds of flavor, right? And I think the American audience likes what it likes.
I think American audiences have very plot-forward storytelling, which is why, like, French movies.
Yeah, we like a great log line as Americans. Like, oh, that's a cool scenario. Like we like that shit.
Like when hey kid, give me the elevator pitch. Hey,
yeah.
And then like that's exactly what it is. You have the time of an elevator. Time of going up an elevator to tell someone what a movie is. If you like,
right?
Imagine trying to,
we like
how do you elevator pitch Amélie? Like, girl stalks boy, and there's other things that happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not giving you money, kid. But see you later. Like, there's just no,
Girl stalks boy and has psychotic hallucinations.
But I agree. Like,
counts orgasms. Like what?
These fanciful things, the way she feels about Nino, all of us have experienced that. There's nothing not universal about that, which means there's no reason for dialogue or anything. We just know what it feels like. It is an experience.
It's everything, right? It's Lucien, the grocer's assistant, right? Mm-hmm. Where he loves these fruits and vegetables. Like they mean something. Like he likes to do his job with care and this and that. This fucking rotund asshole is just insulting him. We even know that guy, right? He's following in his parents. He took his parents' business. He doesn't feel adequate, so he's bullying Lucien. The glass man who sits inside and all he does is repaint Rembrandts or whatever.
Renoir, yeah.
Or Renoir, right. He's not doing his own work even though he has this incredible talent. He's just watching the world outside, not care that he's not a part of it, right? The lady downstairs is like, my husband fucking left and I've just been frozen. Like every character, short of, I would say, the boyfriend who sits at his ex-girlfriend's job and records audio of her.
That's actually the one that I think that's the one I think is the funniest because it was just like, that's weirdly American.
I was just like, don't they whip ass in France? Like, that's my first thought.
My thought was just like, is that guy from America? Because that seems like an American.
Like if one of my lady friends is like, yeah, my ex is coming into my job, sitting there my whole shift, glaring at me and recording shit about me, following me around, I'd be like, all right, we got to go whip his ass. Like, we got to go let him know. That was like a French thing that I was like, I cannot go on that journey with you.
Of not whipping ass?
That guy's got to get dealt with. Like, that's an unacceptable behavior.
Well, it's interesting. Like,
it's not cute like Kevin McAllister where he's got a talk boy. Like, this is like a middle-aged man.
Middle-aged man with a talk boy? Not as cute.
That is so uncute. Kevin McAllister's behavior once you hit middle age is unacceptable.
Kevin McAllister's behavior overall is unacceptable, but middle age is pretty... Middle age is like manslaughter.
Under 12, lovable scamp.
Yeah.
Over 12,
Manslaughter.
Societal problem. Societal tear, yeah.
Jail time.
This guy's got big fucking problems that need. I was just like, this is wild that her coworkers are just like, it's fine. He
Says
spends,
here,
12
booby-trapped
francs
an
a day
entire
on
house and
cafe.
nearly killed these guys who broke in. Yeah. Defended my honor. No. What she did was almost kill these guys.
He never has a sandwich plate.
Have you thought about just calling the cops?
Well, he's 12. He's 12. Yeah. He's 12.
No. I'm saying Kevin McAllister over 12.
Oh, yeah. Over 12. Lock him up, throw away the key.
Next time you just call the cops. Also, do you not call the cops because your dad's clearly a heroin dealer, or what's the deal? Like, this house
He's doing deals with T. Sopran. Neither here nor there.
Anyways.
That guy fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know why the French let these kind of French things happen. That guy's got to get his fucking teeth kicked
That
in.
is like a decidedly French thing. Like, yeah, if that takes place in like Austin, Texas, that guy gets murdered.
Well,
and
it's also what
I don't remember.
Maybe not Austin, Texas, but other places. But that's the thing. It's like this. Amelie's like, you know who I should help out first? The guy who definitely wants to fucking murder my fucking coworker and put her in a trunk, and then talk about it on his tape recorder. He's like, she needs love, and I should subject one of my other coworkers I like to his fucking ravings. Like that's a big fucking miss from Amelie. That's where it's like, if you were a little more one of us and not this isolated dreamer, you would know that was a bad fucking plan. Because what happens by the end of the movie,
this is the
he fucking hates Georgina, and now he's fucking doing it to two women.
I love, though, that Amelie is so... It's not a naivete, though. Amelie wants everyone to be happy.
Well,
even this total creep.
I get it. Because it starts off, one of the early theses of the movie is they say, in such a dead world, Amelie prefers to dream. And they never really tell us like who the narrator is. So there is this like George Bailey, and like God's just like, look at her fuck this shit up.
There's just sort of a Clarence thing going on.
Right. In a dead world, she prefers to dream. That's fine, but if your dreaming adds your coworkers to the list of the dead, because tape recorder guy, that's fucked up. Now two coworkers are being harassed all day by this guy.
I think it's a very honorable notion to not judge in that way, and to...
I'm saying, I'm not here to kink shame. There are
boundaries.
boundaries.
She wants to at least help someone pursue their happiness.
I get it. What she should have done is taken the batteries out of his fucking tape recorder. Said, go see the sunlight. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, well...
Stop having 20 coffees in it. Again, I'm not here to judge and shame against the thesis of the movie.
Sure.
This is too much.
She's not
so
a perfect
Amelie
person.
Objectively ruined another woman's life by the end of the movie. It's neither here nor there.
Subject.
There is a fun part of the movie where it all starts kind of like bumping around, and the movie's asking us like, is Amelie trifling too much? Like now, like she's fucking with that one guy. Like that grocer's son is gonna have like a full meltdown.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna have a full break, and you're like, he's rude to his employee for sure. But that guy could have quit. Like, do we have to destroy this guy's mental fabric?
Even with her dad,
dude.
Even with her dad.
See, the dad to me is fair play because she's sending him gnome pictures that he somehow believes are real, right? The father foisted his fucking issues onto Amelie, so that's a turnabout as fair play.
Hang on, you're conflict. I understand that, but even still. There's like there's still a level of panic when you're like, oh my God, my gnome is not only real, but travels the world.
The dad's like, I now live in a French Goosebumps.
I now live in an Inspector Clouseau movie.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I live in an R.L. Stein book. I live in French Goosebumps.
I live in a book by the femme d'affaires, R.L. Stein.
Yeah. I thought these were for children. This is crazy.
Oh no, la Goosebumps.
The passport of the law gnomes. I remember this one.
Oh no. Next you will tell me there's a mask that is haunted dans mes fantaises.
Right. I think the dad gets what he gets. I feel bad that Georgette's is going to get murdered. Right? I feel bad that Lucien thinks that now he can... Like, Lucien goes to the glass man's house, and he's like, hey, I brought all the wrong food, and the glass man's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, no, it's a pineapple with the thing in it. And I'm like, so you just wasted double the amount of food to do, like, gotcha.
See, this is that
grocer
American cynicism.
Well, that's not cynicism. That's capitalism, brother. That's straight up capitalism.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Are there not starving in French? Did I misread Les Miserables?
The Miserables? I don't know.
Yeah, is there not fucking poor people we could whip these like hollowed out pineapples at?
Okay, first off, we're not talking about the French Revolution. I
don't think they've ever stopped revolting.
This is like 1999 or 2001. I can't remember what year this came out, but like this is like early 2000s Paris.
The revolution is in their heart. The cake that they never got is in their heart, I think.
Okay, cool. We're just We're just free associating Les Mis, which was not written by anyone in France, which was written by Victor Hugo. Like the musical was not written by Victor Hugo, but the book.
When he was there and wrote these things down exactly
when he
as
was
they were
there
happening,
dying
like
of cholera
journalist.
it was just okay.
I'm not here to say I'm a historian, but I think French have revolt in their heart. What is Amélie doing except for tipping apple carts everywhere she goes?
I mean, I don't know about tipping apple carts. She's trying to make the world a better place. That certainly isn't tipping an apple cart.
She's trying to throw sand in the gears, brother. We can't all stop and fucking skip stones all day. Some of us got to work, Amélie.
She is trying to make her world better. That's what she's doing. She's trying to find improvements where she can, and through complex scheming, make it friendly.
I love the complex scheme, but let me just give you an example, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. So the movie starts as it's kind of coming to like the start of the third act. Amélie's been fucking trifling with everyone. And people's lives are getting like legitimately turned upside down because of this, right? The grocer is going to kill himself. Lucien's going to realize that he can't run a store because he likes to do fucking gotchas too much. Georgette's going to get killed by the tape man. The glass man's fucking yelling at Lucien because he's excited about life. He's just mad again.
Sure.
The one that is crazy. She writes, the dad might fucking also lose his mind because who wants to live in a Goosebumps? Her downstairs landlady tells her this fucking tale of woe about how her husband left her for another lady and like was gone for her life, whatever.
Okay.
She sends this fucking lady a letter. And is like, I actually did love you, right? I bought us a house, and if I ever make it back, I'm going to get you and you're going to move in. And that lady's like, do you believe in miracles? And Amélie's like, not today. And she's all fucking sad, right? Because she didn't talk to Nino or whatever the fuck was happening.
Okay.
I think it is fucking wild that Amélie just dropped this in this fucking old lady's lap. She spent her whole life trying to fucking get over it. I think you could argue not successfully. And now we see this lady just fucking re-wiping off the picture and kissing the glass. Like, now she's, like, reactivated this kind of, like, Peter Pan necromancer fantasy that this fucking weird goateed man actually loved her all along. Like, what do you think that does to that lady for the next, like, 6 months?
I mean, are you trying to, I'm confused what you're trying to get at here. Are you saying that Amélie's actions have ruined this woman's life to the point where she can't?
No, not ruined. I think this woman has ruined her life to the point of no return anyways. I think what we see is that Amélie is not thinking through like a normal human who's a part of our world.
She's
the
not
emotional ramifications of what she's doing to these people. So I think she's fucking trifling. She's running around sprinkling fucking pixie dust on everyone.
I get it. I think that's an oversimplification.
What do you think this lady looks like for 6 months? Just running around telling everyone that this dead guy liked her who didn't. And what happens when she inevitably goes to find this house he bought on her own Amélie adventure and realizes that it was just a fuck shack and him and that other lady had like 10 kids and were happy as shit?
Okay, well, the pure sadness of that certainly is not great.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think that is what I'm going to say. I think that is like a tomorrow Amélie problem.
Okay, that is a beautiful sentiment you said. Because what Amélie's doing is she's like, I'm fucking sprinkling dust on all of you while I refuse to participate in living life. Right? And that is Amélie's quest of the movie, is that, as Glassman says, you are not real.
Her fabulous destiny is to realize, yes, that she's not a fragile person.
Right, but she's running around and fucking with all these fragile people.
But I don't think she sees them as fragile. She sees them as
right.
She sees them like her. She sees them as people who needed a push, just like she does.
No, I'm with you, and I think the movie says that all's well that ends well. Fair
That's
enough.
why everything with Dufile, the painter. That's why everything with that is so important.
Right, because they're talking about the expressions of the people in the painting, but it's by proxy her and Nino.
Yeah, of course.
I get it. But I'm saying I love the part of the movie. I love this part of the movie where it does specifically ask us if Amélie be fucking around too much. Where it's like, dude, keep your fucking pixie dust to yourself. Stop fucking throwing it in everyone else.
I'm not saying that there are consequences to actions. I'm saying that I think in the context of Amélie, the consequences are less than what you're describing. I don't think
in the fairy tale version that we see. There's a director's cut somewhere.
Okay, obviously. Okay, listen. If Walt Whitman made this movie, yes. It'd be sorry.
Amélie by Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah,
feet, like a rap song, Feet, R.L. Stein.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, like if this was Amélie by Errol Morris, it would be certainly a different story, all right? But, we're not watching Amélie by Errol Morris.
And Red, White, and Blue Line, A Nation Divided by Amélie herself specifically. She did it.
Yeah, if this was a Werner Herzog joint,
we cannot just overlook the fact that Amélie is creepy as shit sometimes. Like when they do the montage of everyone fucking in Paris and she's just overlooking the city. Yeah, and she looks right at us and she's like, 15. And you're like, that's
weird.
That's not great.
Weird.
That I don't appreciate.
That's not good.
We could do better than that. Right?
Also, only 15? My God, it's Paris.
It's like, I thought you were French. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, what is this? City of Lights, huh?
Rural Alabama when everyone's cousin's out of town? What are we doing?
Yeah. What is this, Tuscaloosa? My God. Is this a Tuscaloosa riverboat casino? Is that what's happening?
I don't see one cousin nowhere.
Well, guess I go to my room and savage my pud.
Yeah. Good thing I brought my farming socks, extra absorbent. No, we're just fucking fuck all Alabama. Honestly,
sorry, Alabama.
My least favorite state I've ever been to. Alabama can suck all the fucking dicks and butts.
Pure garbage, sorry.
Yeah, I went down there, and it was terrible, because we went down to have, like, a golf weekend or whatever, and it was just besieged by, like, thousands of jellyfish. And then you're like, great, now I have to stay on the land in Alabama. And you're like, so that was unfun within 15 minutes. Literally the worst state, I think. Neither here nor there. But we're not here to shit on Alabama. We're here to shit on
we're here to shit on the fact that only 15 people were fucking in Paris at that moment.
Yeah, what the hell? Or at least that she can hear, that fucking creep. Yeah, she's like Uatu, the counter. Neither here nor there.
She has Uatu powers, but only for people who fucking unison.
Yeah, it does kind of change that line when she's talking to the lady whose life she definitely ruins with the letter, when she goes, I'm nobody's little weasel. And you're like, yeah, no shit, Amélie, you got to get your ass out there. All right, let's talk about her journey with Nino. We haven't really talked. I forgot. I wrote down another line here that I died when the grocer said of Lucy. And he goes, someone peed in his mother.
I knew you were going to say it.
I totally forgot about it until I saw it. What a fucking rude thing to say.
It's good. It's good.
All right. Her journey of discovery with Nino takes kind of two forms, right? It's this piecing together ripped up photos outside of these photo booths with the mystery man, and then her putting Nino through the paces of frivolity to see if he's truly a dreamer like her. What about this? This is kind of the true plot of the movie that takes place after the opening 10 box. What did you think about this part of the movie?
It kind of happens. I don't know. It happens in such a. It happens in a pacing in such a way that's so strange. Because I agree. I think the weirdest thing is that it happens when it happens. Like, I'm not sure if I'm describing that properly, but like this probably should be like.
It's not really the plot of the movie. It just kind of like falls in at the end. It's not,
but like kind of should be, because it's about like Amélie's journey and a bigger. It's the Amélie. Yeah. It's the Amélie journey.
There's kind of an extra setup in the. It's not a 3-act structure.
No.
Because the 10 box is an extra appendage to kind of set a tone more than help like tell the story of Amélie and Nino, which is really what it's about. But yes,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's so it happens sort of like surreptitiously in a way that you're like, huh, okay, well, I guess this is the journey we're on now, and we're gonna do this. I think, but I mean, I mean, it's odd. It's still very, but again, like the word I always use to describe is just everything in this movie feels whimsical to me. Even like. Right. Even like fucking around with this guy feels whimsical, but I also think he kind of deserves it. Like there's a level of, we all feel that small when we're trying to meet someone. I don't know how, like I felt that way. Like when I met my wife, like that's just how you feel. Like there's no other way to describe it. You feel that small, but you also feel that overture. Like you're talking about the music, like you always hear that in your head when you meet that person. I guess I don't know. Am I describing this properly? Like there's something about it that feels.
The person who spends all their time noticing every little detail of everyone around them, but kind of being this blank, almost creepy cipher, just walking around Paris, right, judging everyone and fucking their lives up. It's hard to stop and say, "See me." And I think one of the fun things of the journey is I love the moment. Because she goes to the porn store where he works, right? The Porno Palace.
Yeah.
And the porn lady, as she's like pricing dildos, is like, the world is hard for dreamers, right? And I think Amélie feels that, man. That like, dare she dream there's another person that could appreciate her the way she appreciates those around her, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that their like unifying moment is solving the mystery of this guy who takes all these photos and rips them up. And it's like, what's his story? He's got these red chucks, right? He runs away from Nino at the start. So it feels like there will be this great mystery reveal, and it'll have this great poetic meaning, right?
Yeah.
He's just a repairman. And every time he takes photos, he comes out, and Nino's over there fucking sniffing under the booth, and he's like, well, I don't want that guy to have this photo. That's not my favorite. And he rips it up. And so this great mystery puzzle that they solve together and it becomes this unifying thing is ordinary, right? And that they're so ecstatic to see him and solve it, I think is a great kind of tell of the movie, is that although he is ordinary, he is also this great mystery and game for them to enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that part's pretty cool. There are definitely moments, like I love the part when she returns back to her, like, because her apartment's kind of bright red and quirky, and it's this passionate, lively color palette, right?
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there trying not to fucking weep. And she's making her plum bread, and she has this fantasy that Nino's going to bring her the ingredient, right? And she's imagining him coming all the way up to the scene that we're watching in real life. And the curtains move, and she turns, and it's a cat and not Nino. And it's one of the first times in the movie we see her break and be really sad.
Yeah.
But it's also where we see how hard it can be for dreamers who are constantly imagining something better and aren't going to get that, man. So I love these two finding each other. The moment when he is at the door and she opens it, she just shushes him. And she's just like, it's kind of weird. I don't think I'd be like super into that if Amy had like shushed me and it's like we're gonna do like 5 little kisses.
Well, who the hell would want? I mean, shushing you is impossible, so it doesn't matter. Like it's just not. That's not in the cards. Period. So.
Well, I found myself in a nightmare with 2 bitchy wives. That is the Les Mis of Griff. the Les Griff labs. No.
Les Griff Rob.
Yeah. Constantly under the fucking oppressive heel of wife 1 and wife 2, Alex.
Oh, yeah. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Oppressive?
Yeah, you're oppressive. You're mean.
Got it.
You don't appreciate my whimsy. You're just like sending tape men on me and love letters from beyond.
You are accusing Amélie of doings, not coup.
I'm just saying, don't give me like 6 little fuck. Like, I don't want you to kiss my eyelids. Like, don't kiss my eyelids. Like, let's get to getting, man. Let's have this be a big crescendo romance.
But that's not what this
like, I'm not
is.
running through the door like exposed and erect, but like, let's have a big moment.
That's what you're asking for. That's
let's
not
have
how
that
that's
dirty
gonna work.
dancing moment.
But that is the Dirty Dancing moment. Like, they didn't. She crashed through the door. She ran up on stage and he held
No
her
one
up.
puts Nino in a corner and she lifts his ass up and then straight
Okay.
down into bed.
Right, but they didn't. But
And then me and you are on a roof counting orgasms.
Johnny and Baby didn't just immediately start banging out. Like, you know,
Neither are they. They've been on this fucking pornography journey for the whole movie we watched.
They're
No,
having a
I
nice
actually,
journey together.
I cry with joy every time I see the scene. Jokes aside,
It's
you
a
are
very
you are
sweet-
an oppressive, mean partner. But jokes aside,
End
I
of the
do.
pod?
I
Wow.
weep with joy every time Nino comes through that door and they find each other. And that shot of her holding him and smiling means everything to my heart. I love watching her join us. I love that
think
there are
the
more
thing-
of her as part of the human collective. It means a
when
lot.
they do
to me. I
that,
do love
when
it.
they do that montage, the wraparound at the end, when they're just like riding on the motorbike through the city, that's how it feels. Like, to me, that's how that's how it feels when you're in that sort of relationship and you're in that sort of moment. Is you're just
like when we first
constantly-
met, things were like that for us, and now
You and I, no, we've never had that. But
and now we're like the old gnome and the guy.
no, you and I have never had that.
We did for a window, but you smothered it.
I don't remember. I don't remember that window. So you must.
Yeah, it
be
was us
mad-
driving around in my car, just talking shit about comics, going to the shop, eating giant sandwiches. It was great. We had a window where we were truly happy, the two of us.
Ironically, it was before we started this show.
Go figure. It was 600 hours of therapy ago.
Go figures. It was 600 hours of, I think, maybe the other show. No, but that is how it feels, man. Like, everything feels like it's going too fast. But like you are, but they're like, to me, like, so there's this one moment when they're doing, because it's sped up film where they're riding through the city. But there is this beat where Amélie like buries her face into his back, just like holding him.
Yeah.
really tightly. And that to me is like this wonderful moment. And there was like, that's like, feels like it's at normal speed. She's really breathing it in, taking in this moment. Like, that to me is like the beauty of the whole movie itself.
Right,
It's
and having the
just,
courage to do that, even though she watched her father deal with the loss of the like, it's just again, it's a very human moment, right? And there's like some extra weirdness. Like, did Glassman actually get into her apartment to put that VHS in and light the candles? It doesn't matter when Lucien's filming. Like, he's like, I'm gonna film the fucking. And Glassman's like, hey, that's fucking funny. So again, it's funny, it's poignant, it matters to us. We're glad to see Amélie happy. We're glad to see the writer and the little boy who lost his 10 and all of these people kind of taking one step forward. These small little things.
Yeah.
And so to us, it feels like there are seismic shifts, but really the world at large has not changed. Nothing has really changed for these people in like a grand way that needs to be told in a tale.
People have changed themselves for the better. And that's the true extraordinary thing about the world, is just people who are able to change them, who not just themselves, but like able to experience life in a way that they hadn't before, and it makes them feel better about where they are. Right.
We see the man ripping the chicken apart, but then he hands a piece to his little grandson who looks at him like he's a gift from the universe. Like, I'm celebrating my son's 6th birthday today.
Logan,
and the first thing he did was just come downstairs and just run up and like jump on me. And I was like, to me, those are these kind of magnum moments of your life, right? And you scroll back through memory lane of like how little they were not long ago. And it's like, I admire films and filmmakers that can really celebrate. I mean, I don't think it's dismissive or diminutive to call it minutia.
No, I
this
don't
is
think
a
so
movie
either.
about the grandiose
minutia is what
minutia.
makes the world go around. Like, I think, like, we say minutia, other people might say, idiosyncrasies. Like, it's all the same thing. It's these little things that make our world that much bigger.
Well, like, I was trying to think, and it's like, we all have, like, I'm a huge candle nut, right? I'm always lighting candles. And every time I blow a candle out, I like to dip my finger in it and just kind of watch it harden on my finger. And I don't know why, I just do it. Maybe it's because I saw that Ricky Martin video and I think it's still sexy. I don't know. But, like, you just have these little things, and, like, that small moment of, like, where it's hot, and then it cools. Like, that small moment of sensation is just something I love. And I don't know why. I've done it 1,000 fucking times. I don't do it every time, but I do it a lot.
You do it? Yeah.
Right? And so a lot of my candles have these little fucking portly finger dents in them. And it's like, why do I do that? Why is that a thing? Why do I have these? I collect these little rocks, right? My Nana got me into them, where I have these little rocks where you just like rub your thumb on them a bunch.
Yeah.
They're just fidgets. They're just smooth stones that you fidget with. And I like it. Who knows? Is that shit worthy of a movie or even saying out loud on a podcast? No, it might be a waste of everyone's time.
But it's not.
It is the flavor of life.
It's the thing that makes you. Again, like this uniqueness we find in the world with other people is what is magical.
I want to see the world more like Amélie. I want to be seen as she sees. And I want her to set me up with a podcast partner who is not so cruel to me.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
That's how we're doing that? Well,
it's all right, Grosser Alex.
It was a really nice pod, I thought, until that.
It's the end. This is the end. I tape recorded Alex out of here. He's fucking mad. That's true, dude. Every time we talk, I do hit record. I'm the tape man.
Yeah. So.
Oh, damn, dude. And you're the hypochondriac girl who gives me my cigs.
But, it's
say
fine.
la vie.
Sit here and,
as
you
the
can
French
sit here
say la vie.
You can sit here and excoriate my opinion about whatever you want. So.
C'est la vie. C'est la vie. It would have been cooler if we had been smoking the whole time we had this talk.
My neighbor, Griffey, he likes to dip his finger in the candle wax.
Because his dick is not deep enough. It's like, hey, whoa.
Because he is afraid.
He is afraid.
He's afraid.
Yeah.
He's afraid he'll crush the wick with his dick.
Yeah. His wick and dick will not meet, and he will be so sad. No.
Actually, you know what?
Enough.
Smoking French guys, the only French guy I think of smoking whenever I think of like a smoking Frenchman is True Lies. The guy who does the voiceover for Arnold. No, do it doucement.
I do imagine a day where someday my wife makes me go to Paris, and it's like American cig smoker versus French cig smoker. And we just like talk it out, dude. And what is the difference in that? Listen here, you fuck. Yeah.
No, do it slow. Do it doucement.
We're just jacked up on fucking espressos. Anywho. I love the magic of this movie. I know we have joked. This is truly one of my favorite dessert movies.
I really do love this movie. It's
when I really
incredible.
need a pick-me-up, this is one I reach for a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
I love this movie. That's it! For Amélie, that's good riddance to France. No, I'm just kidding. The movies are cool. Yeah.
Oh, now we're doing the Imperialist pod. All right, cool.
Now we're back to straight American shit. Not really, because our next movie, as picked by our patrons, Excalibur. We start stuffing stockings with a very British yarn, Excalibur, which is fucking metal, dude. It's like a prog rock album made flesh. Yep. So, guys, if you want to be part of the community, you want to have your voices heard, go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. Help us grow the show. Help make the show what you want it, guys. That's what we're looking for, right? You get to hear wonderful movies like Amélie, all kinds of good stuff we got over there. The YouTube, Film Alchemist, the email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. Check out our stuff at misfitparade.net if you're into horror films. Reach out to a friend, let them know we're here. Do the 5-star ratings, reviews, all the shit. See, now I'm burying you in minutia that's not whimsical like Amélie. That's the American consumer culture taking hold. But guys, we celebrate you for spending time with us and our weirdness. So, thank you. For the Film Alchemist, I'm Josh Griffey.
I'm Alex T.